Imagine waking up one morning to find that your house, the same one where you lived for 40 years, raised your children, celebrated birthdays and Christmas, suddenly belongs not to you, but to some young beauty with whom your husband had an affair behind your back. This isn't some soap opera plot. It happened to me, Laura, a 65-year-old woman from a small town in California. I always thought marriage was for life, but Jack, my ex, decided otherwise. He gave our house to his mistress, Emily, and I was left homeless. But that's not the end of the story. It's just the beginning. I got my revenge, and believe me, it was epic. Well, I was sitting on the kitchen on that fateful day, sipping my favorite coffee, when Jack dropped the bomb. "Laura, I'm leaving. And the house now belongs to Emily," he said, as if it were some trifle, like a forgotten bag in the car. And I was 65 and had never worked because I had devoted all my time to my family. We had 2 children, Sarah and Tom, but they were already grown up and scattered around the world. Jack was always the one who made the money, investing in all sorts of things. Lately he had gotten hooked on this cryptocurrency craze, thinking he would become a millionaire. And me, I was a housewife who believed in till death do us part. Funny, right? When he told me about the house, I felt the ground slip away from under my feet. Fear enveloped me like a cold wind. What now? No money, no home at this age. Emily, that 25-year-old Instagram babe, was his new beginning. She worked at some startup, always posting photos in a bikini, as if life were one long vacation. And me, and I was worn out like an old newspaper. But inside me a fire was burning. He'll show you Jack, I thought. Did he think he could just throw me away like a useless thing? No, I'm not like that. I started digging, asking my friends, and here's what I found out. Jack didn't just cheat on me, he got himself into some kind of financial mess. But more on that in the next episode. Wait, because this is just the beginning, and my plan for revenge will be better than anything in the movies. What would you do in my place? Stay tuned, and I'll tell you. After Jack kicked me out of the house, I ended up in a cheap motel on the outskirts of Los Angeles. It was awful. A tiny room with stains on the walls and noise from outside all night long. I was ashamed because I had always considered myself a strong woman, but at 65 I suddenly felt helpless. Fear washed over me in waves. How would I survive? Money was what worried me the most. Jack took everything, even the retirement account we had built up together. He was always a master at financial games, and I just nodded and made dinner. Now I realized that it was his tactic to keep me in the dark. But I wasn't going to sit idly by. The first thing I did was call my friend Mary. She's the one who got divorced 5 years ago and now lives alone in Arizona. "Laura, you have to get revenge," she said on the phone. Don't let him get away with it." Her words sparked a fire in me. I started looking for information about Jack. Remember how everyone is on Facebook and TikTok these days? Well, I decided to dive into this digital world too. I was embarrassed because I barely knew how to use a smartphone, but trends are such that even retirees are becoming hackers. I found Emily's profile, full of photos of her and Jack on a yacht laughing like they're in a Viagra commercial. Bitch, I thought, but with humor, because what else could I do? It's funny how an old fool thinks he can start all over again. Then I started planning. The first step was to talk to a lawyer. I found Mary Ann, a woman in her 50s who specializes in divorce. She said, "Laura, you have rights. He can't just take the house." But Jack was cunning. He signed the papers while I was in the hospital with the flu. "That's not fair," I said. "He's always been like that. He loves to play games." Mary Ann advised me to start small, gather evidence. I started following them online, and here's what I found. Jack had invested in some cryptocurrency that suddenly crashed. He was hiding it from Emily, but I saw comments in groups. Maybe I can use this, I thought. But revenge isn't quick, and I felt the anger growing. Wait, because in the next episode, I'll tell you how financial chaos began to suffocate them, and my first blow will be painful. Are you ready? Because I was. Money is a thing that can ruin your life faster than a bad marriage, After I found out that Jack had lost a lot of money on cryptocurrency, I started to feel fear, but also adrenaline. I was 65 and had never worked, so imagine me sitting in that motel counting my pennies. How did I end up homeless in my old age? That question kept me awake at night. Owner Jack always said, "Don't worry, Laura, I'll take care of everything." And now, he's with Emily in my house, drinking champagne, and I'm in a room with mold. Then the fear of aging was overwhelming. What if I end up alone, without money, without support? But I wasn't going to give up. I started looking for a job. Yes, at my age, it's ridiculous, but the trend now is for retirees to become bloggers or consultants. I tried selling things on eBay. Old jewelry that belonged to my mother. That's ridiculous, I thought. Selling my past to survive. But it helped a little. Then I talked to my daughter Sarah. She lives in New York, has her own family, but we didn't talk often. "Mom, this is terrible," she said on video chat. "Dad has always been so selfish." Sarah shared her story. Her husband had also started looking at younger women on social media. We're all in this together," she said, and that gave me strength. But the fear didn't go away. I was afraid I would become a burden to my children. Meanwhile, I dug deeper into Jack's story, but it turned out that his investment in cryptocurrency was a complete failure. He had invested $50,000, and now he was in debt. Emily probably didn't know, because she was posting photos of expensive things. Maybe I can use this for revenge, I thought. But first I had to survive. I found a cheap apartment in the suburbs, but the rent was high. "Damn it," I cursed. "Why is everything so expensive?" Humor helped. I imagined Jack sitting there penniless while I laughed. But inside it hurt. Wait, because in the next episode, I'll tell you how modern trends, such as social media, became my weapon of revenge. You won't believe what I did. The world has changed, and even we pensioners have to adapt. After I sorted out my finances, I dove into this digital madness. Social media is now a trend like a virus, and I decided to use it against Jack. I created a Twitter account. Yes, old Laura, started tweeting. At first it was funny. I barely knew how to press the buttons, but YouTube taught me. It's like a game, I thought, but with real stakes. I started following Emily. She has thousands of followers and posts about her perfect life with Jack. But I saw comments from people asking about their finances. But Jack hid his losses, but I found forums where his investments were discussed. He had invested in some suspicious cryptocurrency and now had debt problems. I decided to strike first. With humor, because otherwise I would go crazy. I created a fake account. I called it The Truth About Jack, and started posting anonymous messages. "Have you heard about Jack Smith? He lost $50,000 on Bitcoin, and now he's hiding behind his young wife." A little vulgarity added spice. His crypto fell lower than his libido. People started commenting and sharing. Emily must have seen it, because her posts became less cheerful, and Jack. He called me furious. "Laura, is that you?" At a stop, but I just laughed. "You started this game," I thought. "Now let's play by my rules." But the fear didn't go away. What if I got caught? At my age, I don't want legal problems. But the adrenaline was stronger. I felt alive again like when I was young. Sarah called. "Mom, what are you doing? It's dangerous." But I said, "Honey, sometimes you have to fight." It was my way of coping with loneliness. Wait, because in the next episode, I'll tell you about my first real revenge. And it's going to hurt. You can't imagine what's going to happen. Finally, I moved from words to action. After my tweet started to gain momentum, I decided to hit him where it hurts. Because money, as you know, is Jack's weak spot. He was always greedy, investing in all kinds of trendy things, but now his cryptocurrency was lying in the trash. I hired a private investigator, just like in the movies, through one of those online services. It cost $2,000, but I borrowed it from a friend. The detective dug up that Jack had unregistered debts. He borrowed money from some shady guys, and now they were pressuring him. My first act of revenge was simple but effective. I sent Emily an anonymous letter with details about his debts. Your new toy is losing money faster than you're losing followers on Instagram. I wrote, with a touch of humor. And Emily must freaked out. She started posting less, and Jack called me every day to yell at me. "Laura, you crazy old hag, stop it," he shouted. I just laughed, adding, "Jack, you brought this on yourself." Hey, who? It was liberating, like I was letting off steam after years of suppression. But not everything went smoothly. Sarah found out about my actions and was furious. "Mom, you're risking your reputation. What if they sue you?" I felt fear, but also satisfaction. This is my way of getting revenge, I thought, for all the years of betrayal. Meanwhile, I began to feel that Emily wasn't so evil after all. Maybe she was a victim too. But anger prevailed. Wait, because in the next episode there will be an unexpected twisting. I will learn a secret from our past, and everything will change. Are you ready for a surprise? Like in life is like an old chest. Sometimes you open it and find something that changes everything. After my first act of revenge, I started digging deeper and stumbled upon something big. Remember how Jack always hid his business? My detective found documents from the 70s, when we had just gotten married. It turned out that Jack had been having an affair even then with my college friend. "Yo, old bastard," I thought. "You've always been like this." But that's not all. He stole money from my father's family business, and it led to bankruptcy. I was 25 when it happened, and I never knew the truth. And now, at 65, I felt my anger turning into something more. Self-pity. I called Sarah and told her. She was shocked. "Mom, why did you put up with this for so many years?" We talked about her own life. Her husband had also started looking elsewhere because of those damn dating apps. "We're all trapped in the modern world," she said. But this turn of events gave me strength, and I decided to use this information. I sent an anonymous letter to Jack's former business partners. "Remember how Jack Smith stole from you? Now he's doing the same thing with a new woman." The humor in this is that he thought he could escape, but the past caught up with him. Emily must have found out because she left a comment on social media. "All that glitters is not gold." Jack was panicking, calling Meg. "Laura, stop, we can talk." But I didn't answer. Fear mixed with triumphing, what if this gets out of control? But I couldn't stop. Because in the next episode, I'll talk about my emotional turmoil. Loneliness, tears, and how I dealt with it. It will be difficult but true. Revenge isn't just about the blow, it's about what happens inside. And after the revelation about the past, I felt loneliness rolling in like a storm. Living in that small apartment, I often sat alone, staring out the window. How did I end up homeless in my old age? That question kept spinning in my head. I was 65, and suddenly I realized that life had passed me by. Jack took not only my house, but also my illusions. The fear of aging was real. What if I became dependent on someone? And my children. Sarah in New York, Tom in Florida. They have their own problems. Sarah called. "Mom, why don't you move in with us?" But I refused. I'm not ready to give up yet. I was looking for support. My old friend Bill, whom I've known since school, invited me for coffee. He is also divorced and lives alone. "Laura, you are strong," he said. "Remember how we used to laugh at everything when we were young?" We laughed at Jack. That old fool thinks youth is everything. But inside it hurt. I cried at night, remembering the good times, how we traveled and celebrated. Why didn't I see the signs? I thought. Current trends didn't helping. Everyone on social media shows their perfect life, and I felt useless. But revenge gave me a goal. I started consulting with an online psychologist. It's a trend now, even for retires. And she said, "Laura, turn your pain into strength." And I did. I enlisted Sarah. We made a plan together. "Mom, let's do this together," she said. Wait, because in the next episode, the revenge escalates, and I bring in the professionals. It's going to be intense. The revenge is gaining momentum, and I felt like I was in a Hollywood movie. After emotional turmoil, I decided not to stop. I hired attorney Mary Ann, the same one who helped me take the first steps. She said, "Laura, you have evidence. We can sue for fraud." Jazz hiding money using cryptocurrency, and that was illegal. He thought he could fool everyone, I said. But I'm not stupid. We started gathering evidencing my tweets, letters, everything. Emily started cracking. She left Jack when she found out about the debts. He's not who he says he is, she wrote in a post. Jack was desperate, calling, "Laura, let's work something out." "Uh-huh," but I said. "No, you brought this on yourself." I added humorously, "Now you know what it's like to be broke." Sarah helping, she found a lawyer in New York and we filed a lawsuit. "Mom, you're a hero?" she said. But the fear remaining, what if I lost? At that age, court cases are no joke. The turning point came when Bill, my friend, told me that Jack had stolen his business idea in the past. "We can use that?" he said. Aku and I felt my emotions boiling over. Wait, because in the next episode, the climax is the trial and unexpected revelations. It will be the peak of tension. Here it is, the peak of all this madness. Unethical, the trial was like something out of a movie, only real. I sat in the courtroom, my heart pounding like a drum. Mary Ann was unyielding. "Your Honor, Mr. Smith fraudulently transferred property to hide financial losses." Emma Jack looked pitiful, with gray hair and bags under his eyes. Emily didn't come. She had already left, leaving him alone. See where greed has led you, I thought. The turning point came during the interrogation. It turned out that Jack had another scam with my sister 20 years ago. "You old scumbag," I almost shouted. The judge was harsh. "You broke the law, Mr. Smith." "A new order." He ordered him to return part of the money in the house to me, but not everything, Emily appealed, and that added to the drama. I felt mixed emotions, joy, anger, pity.